Hello everybody, how are you doing? Now this is going to be a video about Team WE versus Cloud9, specifically Game 5. This was, I guess, a large point of a discussion for everybody in the community. A lot of backlash immediately because C9 was the last hope of the West in quarterfinals to get into the semis, go as far as North America has ever gone before, as if it was the moon landing, and just achieve something in the tournament. Now, C9 is looking incredibly good, and I remember for quarterfinals, if there was going to be an upset, it's going to be in C9 versus WE. C9 looking incredibly good in the group stage of Group A. Good enough to be able to usurp Team WE that had an iffy Group D. Week 2 was great. Week 2, they solidified why they were so good. But Week 1 showcased that. Was it really that good? Was that all right? And this matchup looked very interesting because holistically, throughout the season, Shie has been the weakness of WE. He has incredible games. He can go on to his picks like the Jace, Vladimir perhaps. And he can show great games, even the Gassidon. But hasn't convinced me on Corki. Hasn't convinced me on Syndra. And in the LPL, he'll just get smacked by some incredible Syndra players. And guess who's a Syndra player? Definitely Jensen. So this was going to be a tough one for WE, especially since their drafting has been pretty poor holistically. But then going into the series, of course, people started criticizing C9. And then out of the bushes, all the analysts coming out of nowhere, defending C9, saying, wait a minute, Game 1 to Game 4, great drafting for C9, especially Game 1. But remember, it's always a discussion about drafting versus execution. Execution is something you always have to focus on, especially WE, who has had poor drafting, but excellent execution. So it doesn't matter how poorly you play it. If you're SKT going up against Spanish team, and you have a Teemo mid lane, you're probably going to win not because of poor drafting, but because you're SKT. But that's an extreme example. I don't want to get into extremities. Let's talk about this example. In Game 1, you have an Aurelion Sol mid lane. You have 3 winning lanes, winning jungle matchup. It's not 20 minutes yet, so you don't have the obvious answer of getting Baron. C9 didn't know how to push their lead. Didn't know how to essentially look to dive turrets. If it was a Chinese team, would have dived turret, would have dived the inner top lane, would have dived the inner mid lane, but they didn't. It didn't happen. If it was a Korean team, probably would have dived you too. But very likely would have known how to force the pressure, would have had proper wave management. It's another generalization. But then going into Game 5, the one game in the series that C9 had worse drafting comparatively to WE, I was still fine with it. I was still okay with it. The reason why is because at the very least, C9 had drafting, or at least the win condition priority, right? It's WE that were like, okay, well, you know what, our draft's going to be going to the late game. We're going to be trying to team fight you, but if you win before that, then what do? We can try and defend you, but we can't do well versus an excellent team. But in this case, C9 had a winning bottom lane, had taken the Caitlyn out of the WE playbook. And remember, it was the Chinese team, so it was EDG. It was WE that utilized this Caitlyn winning bottom lane to be able to take the free bottom lane turret. 7 minutes in, 8 minutes in, just constant chipping and proper jungle proximity to be able to force that pressure. So jungle proximity is going to be incredibly important here. And how you utilize that pressure is going to be all the more important, especially since WE have better top lane. They have a split push win condition. They have a team fight win condition in the 30-40 minute mark. Not even that, maybe like 25-minute mark. That's how hard it is. If they're even, that is. So you have that one narrow focus if you're C9. Your bottom lane's a winning part of the map. Get that tower down early on. Net that gold onto Sneaky's pockets. So when you get into the mid portions of the game and you have all that vision control on the bottom side of the map, have that vision control towards the top side of the map when he starts rotating there as well, that suddenly the team fights are actually in your favor because you have Lulu, you have Orianna, you have Shen protection, and you should be able to kind of peel back, disengage from a lot of these fights. Remember, their drafting, being able to take away Jarvan and Rumble made the composition a little bit harder for WE to achieve. That it's not just a Jarvan Galio composition with a Rumble just sprinkled on top of it. That you have proper disengage, sure, WE, but you still had to force a fight. And so that was a good choice from C9 at the very least to be cognizant of that. But let's talk about execution, because this video is about execution. Going 5 minutes on and now talking about execution. So this is going to be an important part because, look, Sejuani has based path towards the top lane. Let's take them Krugs. That's important because that shows you that Sejuani's focusing towards the bottom side of the map. That she's going to be racking up experience, gold, and she wants her end game to be on the bottom side of the map. So if you're sneaky and smoothie and you have 50 CS, if you're sneaky, you push this lane. What does he want to do? He wants to base for a BF sword. Does he do it? Let's find out. So that's just 3 more waves. I mean, 3 more CS. Oh, there's 3 more waves. That'd be a problem. Okay, there we go. Let's go. He thinks that he was unseen going into this bush. Hey, Janna, did you see him? Definitely saw him. Lulu's already finished her base. Caitlyn's in a tough spot. She has to back all the way back if she wants a base. And the reason why this is important now is because she has to actually stick around. If she bases now, she will not get back in time to be able to pick up the wave. That's just not how it is. Kog'Maw will be able to catch up when she's basing, how far back she's going to base, just so she doesn't get canceled once again by Ben. And then suddenly, she's going to lose that entire wave. So she's going to pressure up, take this wave, and then base. The reason why that's problematic, that pushes your time back a little bit. And remember, jungle proximity is going to be important here. Sejuani's already at her wolf camp. And she's going to find herself on the bottom side of the map to a sneaky that hasn't based yet, to a sneaky that doesn't have mana yet. So now she looks for a good time to base. Okay. Where's Sejuani now? You've done her wolf camp. She's basically putting some wards down. It's awkward time for Sejuani, quite honestly. If you're one win condition, if your coach be telling you one thing, if your team's telling you one thing, and then suddenly you go to that one thing, and your bottom lane's not even there. So you can actually look to pressure, try and force down a few TPs once you're trying to chip down that turret. It's not there anymore. If you're looking for something, if you're pinging for something, and your Caitlyn's back at base. So now you have to find an alternative. What's an alternative? Okay, well, you know that Caitlyn's base, that means the enemy bot lane's going to base. Mystic and Ben have to go back to base. So they're going to be able to get a dragon here. Get that dragon. And then afterwards, I'm in the area. I can still look for something, especially since Caitlyn's going to be pressuring towards the bottom lane. Look what Caitlyn's doing. Pushes that wave. So now you have an access, an entrance towards the bottom lane after you've taken the dragon. Okay. Good thinking from contracts to see the situation and be like, I can find something anyways. Here's where the problem starts to kind of get a little bit tougher. Proper ward there to catch him out. Contracts in the bush. But Contracts notices mid lane's kind of happening. Maybe I can make a play happen there. So he does end up making a play. Spoiler alert, Kandi's dead. Because he gets Shen combination. But look where the Gnar is currently. He's going to be able to essentially take this turret down because Shen's made a play here without having to push out his wave. He's not going to be having priority in pushing out that wave. Not against Gnar in this point of the game. Phage is already completed by Gnar. So Gnar is already halfway done taking this turret down, and you don't have TP on the Shen as well to be able to regain that. So let's pause it just a little bit right there. Gnar's working at your top lane. You got to kill, but you need to find a little bit more because if you base right now to go top lane, the Gnar he's already gone. There's nothing else you can achieve here. So smart from C9 to bring both Shen and Sejuani to the bottom lane to make something happen. To force a play. Now Jensen has no mana. He will not follow up. Galio has mana, HP, TP, ulti, everything. So you probably will not be able to take this turret down. This is not going to happen because you probably can't take that fight either. That's just facts. Maybe you can force something because if you force the Gnar TP and then he cancels. Suddenly you get 2 canceled TPs And then you can rehash that play, reforce that play once again, and then at least you're in a position in which you're getting something. And I do think even with TPs being channeled that you can still take that dive. You can still get at least one kill, hopefully on the Janna. Unless if Galio channels his ulti. So let's push this one forward, because what we just saw here, I'm going to actually replay this a little bit. Shen, Sejuani, already playing towards this. Sneaky, move with Smoothie. Or Smoothie, move with Sneaky. You got to make the choice here. And they didn't make that choice. They failed, so you lose both. Flash, heal, half HP on Sneaky, which is more time for him to regen that. And it's like, when are we going to actually make this play happen? When are we going to actually look for this bottom lane push or dive? You saw a little bit of a glimpse of what that tower HP is. That's good HP to basically commit to and try and chip down. 2 TPs come through. Galio and Gnar. They back away. And then now you found yourself in a position. Gnar has been able to take top lane tower. Even though you traded with a Gragas kill. There were about 10 or so mistakes from Sneaky, essentially. And maybe you can kind of lump Contract. I think Contracts played this one actually pretty well. Where the whole crux of your composition got stepped on a little bit. Got kind of stomped. So now you're in this point of the game 10 minutes in, and Sneaky and Smoothie have been tracked out, pushed out from this bottom lane turret. Gnar is running amok in the top lane, and the win condition of WE is just real. So I'm not going to look at this replay. I don't even want to see it. I didn't even want to see it the first time. So with WE, just kind of pushing back to what this really meant in the series. WE showcased that even though their drafts were not the best, they could still play towards them. They can still win out in the team fights, right? They could still recognize what the enemy team is trying to look towards and doing, and they can just focus on what they need to do, what they need to execute on to come out with a victory. Throughout the entire LPL season, if you have not watched it, even just a few games, a few examples of WE not having a proper early game structure, but recognizing and focusing that their win condition is going to be in the mid or the late game. We just need to do all we can to push us to that point. And they can do it. They've been a team that have been rigged towards focusing on execution more so than draft. Focusing on communication more so than draft. So when they get put in this position, they can jump out of it. They can get out of there pretty easily. And this is one of those examples where C9, their pre-planning for the series was really well done. But a few games in which the execution just didn't follow up. So this is a kind of a focus towards the community criticism. Everyone hammering Reaper, hammering the support staff, just in general saying that C9 wasn't ready for this series. They didn't have proper drafting. That's the biggest bullshit I've ever seen in my life. Kudos to the C9 drafting team, scouting team, because they did a good job for this series. This wasn't followed up on.